Hello everyone, welcome back to my Funky Chunky Journal series, and today we are playing with butterflies. So I thought that I would stamp out a couple of butterflies from Marlene's beautiful stamp set. I think this one is called Spread Your Wings. I'm not sure, it's an older release. But it's got beautiful butterflies in them, and on closer inspection, the butterflies have little floral shapes in them and dots and lines, and they're just magnificent. So what I did is I grabbed out some vellum and some of this scripty font paper. I also created this page with just some watercolors. So I just blocked out some watercolors. These are neons, and then in each of them I also flicked a contrasting color of splatters in them just to create a little bit more interest. The blue was not watercolor paint, that was just some of Marlene's acrylic paint that I watered down. I think I used Azure and Mermaid for that. So all I'm doing here is just stamping out each of the butterfly stamps, and I'm being pretty random about it. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm filling up all the space on this page, and then here and there I'll flip over to the vellum and also to that scripty font paper. And I find with some of Marlene's stamps you have to put quite a lot of pressure on them to get them to stamp well. So I was actually standing doing this and pushing all of my weight down on them, but we got there in the end. So I'm not going to cut all of these on screen. Oh, I also had this cute little jam jar, and I thought I would stamp out one of these on vellum as well, and you will see in a second how I use that one. I did take them away and I fussy cut them all in front of the TV that evening, and I also added a little bit of extra color just with white and finishing up some of the lines with black, and also added some neon paint pen detail just to brighten up some of the areas and make them look fun and interesting, because I thought with just that background color they were a little bit bland. So onto the jam jar. I was very excited to use this one. I'm using foam tape, and yes, I know this will be much easier if I had longer strips, but I don't. So here we go. I'm sticking on these tiny little squares, and then I'll save you the dread of watching me untape them all or take the backing off. But first I'm coloring in just on the back of it using Marlene's paint pen, and I just wanted to add a little bit of color onto that vellum. Look how cute that is. And I pulled off all of the backing, and this little butterfly is going to be in the jar, which in hindsight seems a little cruel to keep a butterfly in the jar, but this jar I believe has some air in it, so I think the butterfly is okay. To hide the little foam strips, I'm going over with my black paint pen from Marlene, and I'm smudging it out with my finger, and that line was quite bold and in my face, so I'm just going over it with some white paint pen, just a thinner line, and that really helped to bring it all together. And look how cute that is. I thought that was really cute. Okay, now I'm going to go into my stash of butterflies, and I'm going to try and figure out a way of how I can sew them together. So I wanted this strip, and now that I look at it on screen, it actually doesn't look too bad at all. So I might try and do that again. But while I was playing with it, it just didn't look right. So I left a little gap in between all of them, and then I just stitched through with my sewing machine. And just to secure the cardboard where I've stitched through, I'm just sticking some masking tape at the back. So I'm not 100% sure where I want this in my journal. So for now, I'm going to put it onto this page with just a paper clip, and perhaps it will stay there with a paper clip, or maybe at some stage I will feel like I need to secure it with glue or use it differently in some way. This one is going to be a little tab on the edge of my page. And when I was finished and I closed the journal, I realized that that little back flap that I've got there isn't closing well with that wing sticking out. So I think I'm going to have to end up cutting that flap off just so I can leave space for all of my little tabs that I want to have hanging off the edge. And now I'm going to make some what's it called? Tags. Sorry, I was getting distracted because that first line that I drew was very skew. But eventually we got them there. So I'm making smaller tags, and I'm going to make some bigger one. I'm using this tag as a template to just cut the corners. I don't have a tag punch, so this works well enough for me. And I'm doing the same thing on the little ones, and then we will decorate them together. This one is more of a flappy book, or just a flap. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a little flabby thing, but it turns out nice in the end. Anyway, whatever you want to call it. If you have a suggestion for a name, you can let me know. Okay, I'm going to stick all of these down onto some papers that I've used in the journal. So I've got the book paper and I've got that ledger paper. This one I thought that I would stick onto the scrapbook paper, but then I thought, no, I think I'll rather cut another one of those. And then I've got this grease-proof paper. I guess it's the same as vellum actually. And I'm just going to cover all of the white bits. So the back of these tags are still white, and I'm going to leave them white because those will be little journaling spots in the end. And as you can see, I'm just adding lots of different elements onto this one to cover the whole thing and make it nice and interesting. And then I'm going to trim around the edges. So Marlene's paint dries really, really quickly. If you don't have Marlene's paint, you could use a glue stick for this. I think that would work really well. I don't have any glue stick because I have children. So I just used what I had next to me. I didn't want to use my other wet glue because I thought that that would be too wet. So I had a quick peek at my masterboard that we did earlier, just to see which stencils I used. So I'd like to try and keep to the same kind of stencils that I've used in one area throughout the whole journal. So this stencil, the decor screen stencil from Marlene, is my absolute favorite. So I'm going to be using that one all throughout the journal. And I really like the theme of playing cards that Marlene has just released. So I will also be incorporating these playing card stencils and also some playing cards at some stage into my journal. So that's why I'm just stenciling out with that, making sure everything's nice and dry. And again, this little card on the inside, because it's got that white stenciling there, there's actually enough white space there for journaling still. So even though there's some text on the background sheet that I've got there, there's still space to journal. If you write there with a black pen, it will still show up fine. Putting a little butterfly on there, and then I'm outlining the whole thing, or the visible things. And that's it. I think I went and I popped it through my sewing machine, and I will show you how I'm going to use that one later. This little pink one, I'm adding this line of numbers again from the playing card stencil, I really like using numbers in my work, even more than I like using text. I don't know why. I think numbers, for some reason, just makes me think of graffiti, maybe. And that little one also got a little strip sewn through. I added that extra piece of paper through underneath the butterfly just to make it pop out a little bit more. And then I'm using my embroidery thread and I'm making a little bow for the top of the tag. And I think of all of the tags, this one is my favorite, even though the photo that I tried taking at the end just would not come right. For some reason, my camera decided that it needed to make the image warm, and I just couldn't edit it to look the way it really looks. But on here, it's pretty accurate. It's just the photo that's not so good. Another tiny tag, and for this one, I'm just adding some of Marlene's mermaid paint onto my palette, and I'm using the same sponge, so it is quite a nice blended look between the white and the blue. And then this little script stamp from Marlene as well, just to make that background a little bit more interesting. And then this butterfly, whichever one I'm going to go with, I'm going to staple on with my tiny stapler. Finishing it off with a quote, and I think I also put some string or ribbon or something of the sort through there. But first I'll edge the edges with my archival ink. I'm just smearing the edges onto the ink pad. And this tag is going to just get a nice little loopy, normal, the normal way of tying the string. Sorry, words. They're just not coming to me. Okay, for this one, I've got Kissy out on my palette, and I'm using the big numbers, and I'm just going to fill the whole thing with that Kissy numbers, and I'm going to edge all around. And finish off with a butterfly, of course. This butterfly I chose to do on the other side because I keep always doing everything on the right side, never do stuff on the left side. So I thought, well, why not change it up a bit? And I used this white ribbon with the black polka dots earlier in my journal. So to just extend that throughout the journal, I've used it on that tag as well. Okay, time to pop this one in. I'm using double-sided tape just because it's quick and easy and I don't have to wait for glue to dry, even though Marlene's glue dries really quickly. And then I'm quickly going to do just a little touch of decorating on here. Now, I didn't clean my sponge in between, so that Kissy paint still sits in my sponge. So the white stenciling is not white at all, but in the end it actually worked really well. So I'm glad that I didn't wash my sponge or grab a new one. And then again the tiny numbers, and I'm just going to edge around with the excess of the black paint, and I'm just edging around using it on my sponge, going around the outside. And I'm finishing off with a little quote. And that's it. That's cute. There's enough space to journal on there. Even on the background paper, there's enough space to journal. And then obviously inside that little flappy. Okay, I like the contrast of this pink one, this pink tag with that blue paper. So I decided to stick that on there. And then I thought, no, the background's too pale, not too pale, too boring. And then I decided to add some more numbers because it had the numbers on the tag. In hindsight, again, it's a wonderful thing. I should have done this before I put the tag on, but you know me, I don't plan. I just go and see if things work out. And Sometimes they don't. This time, I think it went okay. It could have gone better, but it was okay. Okay, this little pocket, now that I look at it, I really should have chosen that orange butterfly instead of this one. But anyway, I went with this one, added some thread behind it, just bunched up around my fingers. I don't love this pocket at the moment, so I think I will come back to it and fix it, or perhaps not fix the front of the pocket. Maybe the elements that I put in the pocket wasn't so good. I don't know, but something does not sing yet. So that is a problem for another day. I'm outlining this cute little tag that I did with the scrapbook paper, and it's also going to get a bow tied with some string. This is just like a gift wrapping string, I think. And then I'm going to pop a couple more things inside the pockets. I was looking at putting in some flowers from this little bin that I've got with all of Marlene's elements that I've taken out but I haven't used, and like die cuts that I've made or whatever, just extra bits. I like those two together, and I like the flower also that I put in, but I don't know, there's just something that still needs to be done. Okay, that's it for the butterfly section. I still have a few more that I will be using throughout the journal. And I look forward to sharing the next one with you very soon. Bye.